Good evening. Let us begin by acknowledging that we are gathered today in Mi'kmaq, the ancestral, present, and future territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Today, we gather with the intent followed by the living peace and friendship treaties, with respect, cooperation, and coexistence. We are all treaty people. Welcome. I will call this meeting of Mahone Bay Town Council for April 24th, 2025 to order. I welcome you all. We have numerous people in the chamber, and it's always good to see faces out there. And I welcome those of you who are viewing on our live stream right now. So, moving forward, I will take any additions of the agenda or acceptance, motion to accept. Councillor.
Got one addition for the closed session, just to personal matters, 22.2.c.
Okay. Noted. Any other?
Could I request the two items that I've mentioned? I guess if we've got a closed session, then I'll add contract negotiations to the closed session. And then maybe we could add budget schedule under council items.
Negotiations and council items. Okay, so 8.3, council items.
What was the addition to the regular agenda?
8.3 council items. And then there were the contract negotiations on the closed session. And first, what was that?
Oh, personal matters,
Personal matters.
Personnel.
personnel.
Okay,
Hopefully that covers what you want.
Probably, but I think it's
Feel free to bare your soul.
Oh my God. In my mouth day.
great.
All day long.
I'll take a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Councillor Feeney.
I'll second that.
And second by Deputy Mayor. Okay. Thank you. We would like to go on to the acceptance of the regular council meeting of April 8th, 2005.
25.
Are there any errors? 25. Are there any errors or omissions except me and the date? I wish I was that young. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
A motion to approve by the deputy, second by Councillor Fulkerman. Thank you very much. Discussion? Being none, all those in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. Okay, I cannot see our guest, so somebody's gonna have to let me know if he has his hand up for anything. No. Okay. We will move on to public input session. Are there any people here?
Sorry, I thought we had an announcement.
Oh, we do.
Sorry, Mayor,
Sorry.
just a brief announcement that on Saturday, the 10th of May, the Municipal Joint Services Board will be providing free and almost unlimited amounts of free compost. So show up on that day. It's available to all citizens of the community. So take your trucks and backhoes and wheelbarrows and load up on compost on the 10th of May.
There's a great poster for that from MJSD, so we'll put that up too on Facebook.
Yeah, yes, that's right. And also, we are going to be taking part in the Smile Cookie campaign on April, that goes on from April 28th to May 4th. And we just want a reminder that anyone who wants to volunteer and help out with the decorating of the Smile Cookies can let Claire know or Kelly from the office. And the money is going towards the swimming pool fund. So it's a great cause for our town, and we'll be doing a lot more fundraising than that. So may as well get in the group. So it's a great way to surprise friends to go, buy cookies and take them and deliver them, or your workplace. It really puts a smile on people's faces. So I encourage everyone to be community minded and let us help grow the spirit that we really need to get behind programs like that. So moving on, we will go to our public input session. is there anyone in the gallery who is here? Okay, Albert?
Can I ask a question now?
Sure.
It's about what's coming up in this meeting.
Sure.
Okay, so I have a question about the
Can you
area,
just state your name
Oh,
and your address?
Helga Baxter, 68 Long. I have a question about the area dividends. So, I noticed that you and Kelly voted against the distribution, but I guess it was passed that they would be distributed. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So that means that proportionally, the town would get part of that dividend, it goes to the town, right? Or,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
And so how much did the town get?
I don't think it's been distributed.
Oh, okay.
To my knowledge, the dividend hasn't been distributed. It's been,
Yeah, so
Okay.
there is an amount that is booked, and I don't have it in front of me, sorry about that, Helga, but
Okay.
essentially the vote was on whether area would actually pay out dividends that were booked based on the prior year's proceeds. And it was voted that they would still proceed with that.
Okay.
So we would receive money, and I don't have the exact
Okay.
amount.
And if you wouldn't have received, like if you didn't go for this, it didn't pass, what would have happened to that $199,000?
So we have a 10% equity ownership in area
Oh,
overall. So we receive based on the formula, based on the dividend policy, 10% of the dividend proceeds. Historically, that's been as much as, recently $190,000 in the fiscal year. The issue at the area board at the time was really around, are we better served by retaining the capital within the organization for the ongoing organizational benefit coupled with the financial backstopping of the organization? Or should we dividend it out to the communities for their own internal use? So there's a spiritual debate from time to time about
right.
whether we should dividend it out and to what degree that should happen. Mahone Bay's been pretty consistent for 2 years now, maybe 3, that we should retain those funds within area. But our partners have other opinions, and that's
Fair enough.
part of being a partner. So we that's a budget item, and that revenue flows into the town when paid.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Councillor Copeland?
Just a clarification, does that dividend come from revenue or from capital?
Traditionally, the funds, when they are received by the town, are exclusively used to fund capital projects. They don't,
No,
those
sorry,
funds don't flow into general revenue.
sorry, that wasn't a question. From area, does it come from revenue or capital? And also
They
the area
come-
to pay a
They
dividend,
come out of operating earnings.
operating earnings.
Yeah, this is really what's booked as earnings, except that the policy of paying out all of the earnings that the company ever has left it, lean on money.
My point,
Yeah.
And that's why Mahone Bay Council has always taken that position.
okay, thank you.
Any other? No? Thank you. All right, so we will move on to our presentations. We will first hear from the Environment Advisory Committee. And who is speaking? Oh, Lori. Okay, Lori, do you want to come up and sit in the nice big blue chair and just state your name and civic address for those who aren't here?
Doesn't matter, whatever's normal.
She's done public accounts, she's used to cast lots of cameras.
Okay, shall we go ahead? Okay, good evening, your worship, councillors and guests behind me. Apologize for having my back too. I'm presenting today on behalf of the Climate and Environment Advisory Committee, which I just joined for its second term recently. So I've been to 3 formal meetings and a slew of informal meetings, which actually support local businesses in town. So it's great. So I'm going to introduce first the members of the committee. I'm sure you all know them. I just want to highlight that in appointing this committee, you appointed a significant range of expertise and experience. I was very impressed when I joined the committee with the level of conversation. So in the room, we have Varian Hasten, Greg Little, and Craig Stewart. Also on the committee, John Everts, Amanda Montgomery, Sarah Riley, and of course, councillors Carver and Dwarnell. So the purpose today is to present, we provided you with a letter, which is our consensus input on the strategic plan. And I would really encourage you to read the detail of the letter. What our aim today is to really talk about one piece of it, and that is the recommendation that you add a fifth pillar to the strategic plan related to climate resilience and adaptation. I do want to say that if there's questions at the end, they can be on anything in the letter, but the focus of this presentation is really on that fifth pillar. So we started our conversations really acknowledging that the town has done a lot of good work on climate change and environment. Some highlights the GHG plan and the implementation of it, the leadership role taken by the town in developing renewable energy, support for local projects related to environment and climate change, and of course hiring Lauren, the climate change coordinator. So those are big steps for the town. And the CEAC is really pleased with those efforts. What I want to start by noting is that the focus of the work of the town has really been on climate change mitigation. And climate change typically is divided into sort of two components. I'm sure you're all aware of this, like mitigation and then the adaptation and resilience. So mitigation has been the larger focus, and just to provide an example, charging systems for electric vehicles, that's mitigation. Managing stormwater, building infrastructure for sea level rise, that's adaptation. So there's a fairly significant difference in those two aspects of climate change work. So we noted in the strategic plan that you have currently 4 pillars. So engagement, financial stewardship, infrastructure, services, and growth. Those 4 pillars are very interconnected, and you can see that when you read the plan, because it sort of, some things that are in the plan could fit in any one of those categories. We feel that a pillar on resilience and adaptation is really essential to round out the strategic plan for the town of Mahone Bay. And I'm going to just quickly highlight the reasons we discussed as to why. First off, the 4 pillars, as I mentioned, they integrate nicely with each other. Adding resilience and adaptation also integrates really nicely with all 4 of these 3 pillars. So you would have 5 integrated pillars that really provide a strategic plan that provides sort of a whole picture for the town residents and for the town to follow. Secondly, climate change is happening. We know that the town's intent is to address it. Even when you hire consultants these days, they build for the future. They, roads are higher, sea level rise, wind, rain, all of those events are considered when developing infrastructure plans. So we know that the town is already doing important work in that area. We wanted to highlight that really it's essential for thriving community to address resilience and adaptation in the face of what we expect the future to look like given climate change. It's no longer really acceptable or even done to just build for today's environment. We need to build for tomorrow's environment. Another reason why we feel such a pillar would be essential, it makes it clear to the citizens, it sends a good signal. It also makes it clear to funding partners and other levels of government who really would have an expectation of partners focusing on resilience and adaptation as part of the work that they do. And I guess finally, failing to prioritize resilience and adaptation puts people in the town at risk from increased floods, fires, wind, hail, those sorts of events. And I just want to highlight that in talking about it, we know that the town understands the gravity of climate change and the importance of working towards it. However, we didn't really feel that it was well reflected in the strategic plan as written. It's included more as in a couple of places, but also in a principle that's called environmental stewardship. So we're proposing that it be a little bit bolder and stated as 5th pillar. So we then took the initiative to craft a fifth pillar for you, for your consideration, recognizing that you are the decision makers. We also understand that you may want to tinker with that. We may not have put the exact goals and action that you might decide you want to put in the strategic plan. So our primary recommendation is we'd like to see a fifth pillar. And then we've provided you with an option for a fifth pillar. So in your letter, you'll see we've included in that option goals related to capacity building, building trust, and food security. Some of the proposed actions are actually included in the plan now. We're proposing a little bit of reorganization to move some of them under the fifth pillar. So some of the actions proposed, hazard assessment and risk mapping. So that's one that you already have in there. Integrating climate considerations into planning. Considering developing a plan to reduce the exposure of the town and its residents to extreme events. Considering nature-based solutions wherever they're feasible. Continuing to prioritize renewables. Engaging with the town residents and neighboring communities on collaborative projects. Engaging with the Indigenous community locally. And incorporating initiatives that contribute to food security. So in summary, the committee does not really see a downside to incorporating a fifth pillar. We feel that it's consistent with what strategic plans in other communities are incorporating. And we want to thank the council for the invitation to present and indicate that if you would like us to do further work or provide further detail on anything in our letter, we're certainly willing to do. So we're happy to respond to any questions.
Councillor Kingsmill?
I just wanted to say thank you. I thought the work that you did was amazing. And I know how hard it is after days of going through tasks and goals to do that fifth pillar proposal. I guess when we were doing the strategic plan, we had accessibility and climate kind of as two lenses through which to look at those four pillars. So do you guys feel that we didn't see that enough in the four pillars, or we didn't see that lens enough? Is it? And maybe that's the case. I'm just pondering it, because as we did those four pillars, everything was through the lens of accessibility, through the lens of climate. But maybe we didn't. So I think what you've done is great and worth a look.
I'll certainly invite others behind me to respond, but I think our feeling was that it really didn't pop.
Yeah, okay, all right. No problem.
I think the similar thing has happened at Modal. They had four pillars, they now have added environment. They were so big on environment in their last mandate, and then when they did their strategic plan, it just didn't seem to pop up. When we went, our guidance was the feedback that we received from the public. But I can definitely see where, so much has happened around climate in the last mandate and done very well. And the committee is super active, and as you say, it's quite a lot of talent there and experience. And I think the need, it doesn't pop out, right? So I think that's a good way of explaining that there's a fear of it getting lost and the momentum slowing down.
That's well said.
Okay.
Got it. Cool.
So Councillor Feeney.
Lord, this is really quite helpful, and thank you very much. I think as we get into the budget process, like really the focus starts orienting really around the action items and the funding. If you read through the kind of the work done to date, there's been this kind of recurring theme about like embrace the passions of the community. So things that the town does, and then versus things that the town supports the community's efforts to achieve. And so when I think about, what I keep hearing Amanda when she talked about the food security and the community garden, for example, like a passionate project with lots of advocacy from within the community versus like having Jonathan and town staff, run the garden. So I think the only another thing I think we really need your help with is to try to figure out within those action items to make them real, because they're only gonna be real with funding. If they get budget support or moral support from councils, just for us to get the right orientation of those from the committee's perspective, which projects do we think we want to fund and which would get funded from taxpayer supported efforts, and which of those projects are supposed to be supported through collaboration with the town, but may not necessarily be directly supported from, taxpayers funding. I think that nuance at another meeting would help make it really real. And for us to try to take the pillar and then the action items and turn it into a real project that you can actually see the results over the next couple of years.
And believe it or not, several of us talked about that or something similar to that at the pub.
Oh, yeah.
One of the-
That's where the real work's happening.
But yes, we understood, like, we started with a conversation, the strategic plan, is it the town's work plan, or is it for?
Right.
Like the town as in, municipal versus the town as in the people of the town. And
Mhm.
we kind of took the approach as we kind of like it to be both.
Both, of course.
And so there are two different,
Right.
two different, from a funding perspective. What's
Right.
tied to the strategic plan is, there's two aspects to it. So I totally understand your
Mhm.
question. We kind of started, we didn't stick on that for very long, but we kind of started a conversation.
Councillor Paul.
Yeah, thanks for all the inputs. We've had I guess we've had a pretty good run at climate the last few years. A lot of attention's been focused in that direction. I'm coming out of an asset management committee meeting this afternoon where a lot of the basics are open for debate and discussion and requirements. For example, the raw water pipe, it's 60, 70 years old coming down the hill. We have to consider those kind of replacements. We have leaking water pipes. We have sewers that need replacing. Trust me, the last election was directed in part towards being back to basics, and that doesn't mean to say that environment is ignored in that context, but nevertheless, the funding hit is on just repairing the basics of the town, which have been ignored for quite a long time. You mentioned extreme events, which is close to my heart as a concern. That is a massive infrastructure development to provide protection to the town. We're only just scratching the surface of it right now. I'd certainly see that as a focus. But I'm interested in other actual ideas of actual actions that you can take, as opposed to broad ideas of direction. That would be valuable in helping direct where energies and money is positioned.
So are we all saying we need to dive deeper into what the team has done? Is that the, like, what would be the next steps, I guess?
Well, we need to, like most big projects, we need to have some priorities about what it is we're actually trying to do. What concrete actions are we going to take? One that came up this afternoon was middling, I guess, in this thing. There's been conversation forever about building up the Inchcape Shoal to break the water coming into the town to protect infrastructure, erosion, way beyond anything possible elsewhere. We know that we are not protected against high levels of flooding from hurricanes coming in. What we're planning at the moment isn't doing that. So where is the committee's recommendations for specific actions as opposed to broad principles?
Yeah, so I would say that the strategic plan is fairly high level document, but one
Yes.
of the things we've proposed as an action is to consider developing a plan to solidify those actions. So more specifically, what are the actions the town should
Yes.
take And obviously that then gets into your decision-making power and
Yes.
budget and how those things
Right.
align.
Yes.
I think if you wanted to refer back to the committee to do some further work on that, we could do that, but we'd also need a bit of direction on, where you would want us to look. But in the strategic plan itself is I hate overlapping plans, but is the idea that the further work would be done in order to assess.
And I think there is a plan from the asset management, to have a culmination of committees meeting to go over our goals and priorities and how we can work together and be more collaborative among the committees that address environment and our natural assets. So to be continued.
I think, Mayor, like the process really worked in the sense of council with our consulting friends did some heavy lifting at the front end, and we've shared it with the community, and I think receiving this kind of feedback is incredibly helpful, and it's a heavy lift for your committee. It kind of really resonates me about the virtues of having the fifth pillar, both from the way we're positioned as a community, how other people perceive us as a town based on having that pillar kind of clearly identified. And then, so as far as getting these key themes woven into the strategic plan through a fifth pillar, like, sounds good to me. Like, I'm all for it. We just need to make that happen, knowing that we need to have the strategic plan, really consummated at some point. I mean, we're 6 months into the term, so I'm assuming the plan will come together sometime in the next couple months at the latest, depending on other feedback from other groups. And then, but the real magic, and I think maybe a request back to the committee will be how we don't want to lose an entire fiscal year on action items. And if we're going through the budget process now, if there are items that are truly action oriented that requires financial support from the town, that you think there's a wide ranging consensus on the at a committee level to start with for the next, we need to know that, in the next few weeks, so that it can either be accepted and added to the budget or pushed a year or said, yeah, we'll get to it next year. But so I think if we can get the action, if you can take another crack at that and get back to council sometime in the next few weeks, I think that would be very helpful.
Yeah,
That we know you mean.
At the pub, at the pub or wherever.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
we combine.
Councillor Carter?
Thank you so much. It's great to sit here and listen to what's happened from where it started at a very formal climate and environment advisory committee. And the community passion and working with the community passion is so important, and I think that we recognize that and can do well with it. I'm really happy that in the report we've folded in all the existing actions into the fifth pillar, so that makes it a good jump off point. And strategic plans are reviewed every year, so there's nothing to stop new actions once we see what's happening, and then thinking again next time around to the specific actions that can be added in. The strategic planning process is sometimes a wordsmithing process. So as the deputy mayor referred to earlier, we were working with input from the public, but we were also working with our own energy and what we understand what the public is interested in. And we did struggle with the environment pieces and how to, but the wordsmithing sometimes gets in the way. So it's really helpful to have the feedback that helps clarify.
Yeah.
And pull out some of those issues that got lost, I think.
Well, to be fair, we actually had 5 pillars.
That's
And then
true.
for some reason, I don't know, efficiency or something, or facilitator glee, we tightened it
That's
to
true.
4, but this is making a lot more sense to have that back. Great.
Okay, I think our time is up for the presentation.
Yeah, but just one more thing. This is on the agenda for the policy and strategy committee, is it not? Next week or soon? I thought it was gonna be
It is,
referred.
yeah.
Yeah,
For
yes, it
Monday.
is, yeah.
That's Monday, right? Monday.
Right,
Yeah.
next Monday.
Monday night.
So then organize or the procedure is that policy and strategy can then make a recommendation back to council. So.
On what we've heard tonight and what we've read, your document.
Any other submissions that were received from the public.
Yeah.
The meeting is just to consider all the submissions that were received from the public. And you guys had asked to also speak to it tonight, so this will be fresh in everybody's memory. when they come together next week.
Are all those submissions public?
Yes, yeah, they were retroactively added to the council package for the April 8th council meeting, because that is where they had been intended to be found, and then they were not distributed appropriately, so.
So if the public wants to see them, they can.
They should be able to see them in the
Go back
April
and-
8th package on the
Yeah.
website. Yeah, this was by far the most substantial.
Well, thank you,
Thanks.
Lori, and thank you to your committee and for your submission.
Thanks, everyone.
And- So let's see, you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting or parts of it, it's all up to you. I will call on to 5.2, Christopher Quigley. You may come forward and I think you have a presentation as well, which is this the same as the one we received?
I
It's
sent
in our
it,
package.
yes, it's a fresh one.
Okay, great, thank you. It was in our package. Yeah. Oh. It was.
Yes.
And just state for those not here in the room, please state your name and your civic address.
My name is Christopher Quigley, 121 Madishak Road.
Oh, yes, of course it was. I didn't click on your name because I know.
Conversations outside of stuff.
It's just a video.
What's that?
Oh, I think we need to go back. Maybe, I'm finding it noisy here, so maybe the windows
Yeah.
on the side can stay open, but
Yeah.
Good idea.
it's a little noisy
There we
here.
go.
I'm enjoying the freshness though. That's quieter than those.
Yeah.
Can you see Helga?
Yeah, I think that's, thank you.
That's Craig. Craig was sitting there.
I think so.
It's the parking lot.
Oh, he's there.
There he is.
Oh, is that there?
Was that up there because I went to the washroom?
No.
Ours isn't that dangerous.
No.
All right.
Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks so much for allowing me to come in this evening to speak to you all. This has been an incredible project to be a part of. I'll just restate my name. I'm Christopher Quigley, and I'm here on behalf of a new nonprofit organization, an arts workshop that's opened up in Mahone Bay called Alchemia Art Workshop. It's a new nonprofit based in Mahone Bay, dedicated to producing transformative public art that directly engages the public with urgent social issues. And so today I want to introduce a project that meets one of the most pressing public safety and human rights issues, gender-based violence and intimate partner violence. It's called Transformation of Dangerous Spaces. And that it's a traveling public art installation that confronts men with the uncomfortable realities of power, privilege, consent, and complicity through a highly immersive, multi-sensory, interactive experience, and it takes place in a bathroom stall, 8 of them. I created this in collaboration with a local executive director of Harbor House, and I have a deep personal connection to the topic, and this isn't abstract or distant for me. It's not metaphorical. It's historical, it's personal, and it's far too close to home. And this initiative is rooted in a lived experience. And it's my way of turning something that was painful into something that might help others. So just let me explain. So Transformation of Dangerous Spaces is going to be an 8-stall immersive traveling experience designed to mimic familiar gendered environments like a public restroom stall. These are places that are private, transitional, and often overlooked. But instead of ordinary stalls, each one becomes a confrontational installation that explores a different facet of gender-based violence and intimate partner violence. So there are going to be 8, and I'm only going to talk about 3 today, so I don't need to go into all 8 of them. But the first one is going to be a one-way mirror stall where participants will enter, the door will lock, and participants will feel watched and exposed, kind of mirroring the scrutiny survivors face when speaking up. The urinal stall, or what we'll also call the locker room, is going to be playing recorded locker room style misogynistic language, confronting men with the normalization of harmful rhetoric. This will also kind of delve into the evolution of men's socialization and how boys and men have been socialized from an analog source to a now very digital and isolated source, which is very violent and very disruptive. And then the third out of the 8 is called the choice stall, where it's a forced choice scenario that simulates coercion, showing how that if no doesn't exist, yes isn't always true consent. So each stall is designed to simulate psychological pressure using sound, light, text projection, motion sensors. This isn't a passive experience. This is meant to be a reckoning. And it's going to be fully accessible, ADA compliant, transportable, and designed to fit into galleries, public spaces, town halls, universities, and even some corporate environments. So let's be clear. 1 in 3 women in Canada experience intimate partner violence. That is a public health crisis. That is a justice issue. And yeah, this is a local government issue. And despite decades of tireless daily advocacy, education, and awareness campaigns, the numbers remain stubborn. And why is that? Too often, the people who need to be part of the conversation, men, aren't. And this project changes that. It invites men into the dialogue in a way that's direct, human, and impossible to look away from. The project is just one man's response to that call. And this is an attempt to show up, to listen, and take responsibility. It doesn't pretend to have all the answers, but it begins where real change starts, with accountability, vulnerability, and a willingness to feel something. So we're inviting them into discomfort. We're inviting them to feel something raw, real, even maybe a little unbearable, and to sit in the mess and stay there, to lose the illusion of control, to confront themselves, to be accountable, not in theory, but in practice and in the bones. Because facts don't change people, shame doesn't change them either. But experience, that cuts deep and that lingers. And that's when real change can start, and when it starts in the gut and it can rise to the surface and turn into policy, into prevention, into justice. And I wanted to enter this in as that this is just not an art piece. It is actually a policy in motion. It integrates directly with federal and provincial and municipal GBV prevention frameworks, public safety strategies, and municipal outreach and community wellness mandates. We have developed evaluation tools, visitor feedback, impact tracking, optional facilitated discussions with community educators, trauma therapists to go through discussions afterwards. And this project is designed to travel to communities all across Canada, with each one getting the opportunity to host, respond, and participate. Right now, we are actively engaged with over 60, almost 70 by now, by the time I updated this, advocacy groups and funding bodies locally, provincially, nationally, and internationally. And these supporters and partners are recognizing the urgency of this work and are aligned with our mission to drive systemic change by beginning with something deeply human, a visceral, educational, artistic experience. And the urgency is now. Understand that in 2023, there were 123,319 police reported intimate partner violence incidents in Canada, which is about 338 incidents per day, or about 1 every 4 minutes. Women and girls accounted for almost 80% of that, because violence doesn't end just when a woman reports it. It ends when men stop allowing it to happen. And that's the hard truth. And this project aims to tell it. So what are we looking for? We are looking for support. We are looking for communities to help us host the installation, to provide in-kind support, space, staff facilitation, promotion, assist with funding connections through public safety and cultural grants, and endorse the project. Because that will help us open other doors to larger funding organizations. We need endorsement, we need written endorsement. And that will give us an opportunity to lead, not just react, and to say that this town stands for safety, justice, and accountability. Transformation of dangerous spaces isn't about blame, it's not about shame, it's about acknowledgement, it's about breaking the silence, and it's about standing in the discomfort long enough to understand what others truly endure. It's about initiating change, real change, emotional change, cultural change. And we believe every community has dangerous spaces and every community has the power to transform them. And I hope that you'll join us in doing that. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Can I just ask a couple questions myself before I open it up to our team here around the table? Are there dates set for this, or is it an ongoing installation?
Fabrication, we're looking at doing fabrication in late 2025. We're hoping to get it on the road by mid-2026. But right now, this is the design development and the construction phase to get it up and out the door. We are just developing relationships, putting it out into the sphere to see what support we can get to really push this initiative along a lot further.
Great. And I take it it's a traveling installation, so is
Yes.
it going to be like portable, that you take it from community to community and set it up there, or
Yes.
is it, okay?
Yes.
It's not in a vehicle that.
No, it'll be set up like an immersive interactive gallery exhibition.
Okay.
And it will be a gallery, and we have initial interest from the National Gallery of Canada to have this part of their external exhibits program. So we're just waiting to find out what curator we're going to be paired with for this project.
Oh, wonderful. Also, I just wanted to know, like, who's making this? Is it a variety of artists? Who? Like, who's-
I designed this.
You design it and make
Yes.
it?
I have a fabricator in Montreal that will be fabricating the superstructure. And then a company called EOS Light Media out of Vancouver, British Columbia will be handling the interactive, the programming, commissioning, and integration of the technology into each one of the 8 stalls.
Oh, okay, great. And Councilor Keynes.
So Chris, when you said space, do you, I probably should have known this before, but do you see it as like something that would sit like the bookmobile, like could it be protected out on a parking lot or beside town hall, or do you need to be inside?
It would be an indoor.
Like.
Yeah, there is the auditory component of this art piece is meant to have people here that are waiting to go in to hear the noise coming, hear the sounds that are coming from these
Got it.
days in a much larger room.
Got it.
The ceilings are open to these. These are
Okay.
not closed in.
Got
They
it.
are open to the roof
Okay, got it.
for sprinklers.
Thanks for that, Christopher.
Oh, thank you.
At each site, as it's traveling, how will you find councillors and debriefing personnel?
So I've had a massive amount of reach out to transition houses, to women's organizations all across Canada. We are trying to formalize, and just in the beginning stages of formalizing a partnership with the Nova Scotia Status of Women. And many other programs across Canada, so there will be access to those people, and that's part of our partnerships that we're trying to develop, so that there are people on site that will come from their own communities to assist.
Men's groups?
Yes. Oh, absolutely, men's groups, many men's groups. White Ribbon to just name one, so that's. You're welcome.
Councilor Keynes.
Crystal, this kind of really dovetails with your career. I mean, in all of your history and, major corporate art installation, more of a corporate environment historically.
Yeah.
Versus this has a much more social dynamic. The not-for-profit that is standing up, is the mandate for the not-for-profit going to be multifaceted, or is it really oriented in the short term around this particular initiative?
There will be other initiatives, but this is the inaugural. This
Inaugural.
This is the first one that will be that it will be producing.
And when you think about this, like the vision do you view this project or this installation as being enduring, or kind of like having a 3-year national run, and then you and the organization move on to another new project? Like how do you see do you envision needing to find like a long-term permanent home for the installation, or do you view it as really a project that has like major impact for multiple years and a national tour, and then you refocus your energy on another new art installation with the project, with the nonprofit being kind of the umbrella?
That's a really good question. I see it as something that will be enduring.
Enduring.
It will be enduring. It will be something that maybe one day will have a permanent home. But it will be at a stage where in the future, then I can start focusing on other pieces of work that I want to create. And I have many.
No doubt, no doubt. Do you think you could maybe share at a later date, either through email or just direct correspondence that we could put in the minutes, a little bit more about the nonprofit? How do you get involved with it? How do you find out about it? What information? Like I know it's in its infancy, but I think that would be helpful for us to enter that into the public record if we can.
Yeah, that was part of the reason for doing this, was to announce the formation of Alchemia. We have a very robust and very accomplished board of directors. It's, this was put out there to really make sure that this happens, and I wanted, a group of people to be there to help act as stewards and safeguards for the piece itself and for other work that the nonprofit wants to create. But this was really set up to create this piece first.
And alchemia, what does it mean, or is it an acronym?
So it's the Latin for alchemy. So spinning lead into gold.
Okay, thank you.
That was it.
May I have another question?
Yes, please.
I'm being very pragmatic here.
Yes, please.
Would you be targeting universities and community colleges?
We're targeting
They would
everybody.
seem to be ideal places with the young men.
Yeah, we've had a large, we've been doing a lot of outreach to a lot of community organizations, university schools. It's really just to really kind of really put the men in front of this and get them to sit and get bums and seats. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your
Thank you so much.
presentation.
Thank you, I
That's
appreciate
great.
it.
You're welcome to stay.
Pretty dry agenda though.
Yeah,
That's okay.
the best part.
Well, yes, we'll move on to item 6, correspondences. We have a letter from our Premier, Tim Houston, with an announcement on tariffs that came in April 3rd. We have the Attorney General and Attorney General and Justice Additional Officer Program. And we have Linda Schneider, I may have said that, Schneider, request for a deer crossing sign. So do we want to touch on each item, or? Thank you.
I was gonna,
Yeah. Councilor Kingsman.
I was gonna make a motion to file the first 2 and then the third to send that to policy and strategy, but
Okay, is there a
happy to.
seconder for that? Or-
Sure.
Okay. Any further discussion on this? Yes, Councilor.
Not further discussion on it, but was there not a letter from the Minister of Public Works about the Transport Safety Act and looking for input, given that the government has determined that the act is too complex at the moment to proclaim, even though it's passed in 2017. But they're looking for input on what parts they might promulgate, which might include things like photo radar and things like that.
Okay, should that have been under correspondence, or?
We had an email on this back in March, and then it was in the news more recently, and I raised it at PAB.
Yes, so maybe in
So I
our
don't-
next,
Yeah, I don't
our
know
next
what happened
meeting.
to the one that came in at March, if it went on the agenda back in March.
I don't.
Sounds like an interesting piece of correspondence. I can't recall reading
Yeah.
it personally, Brian, but I'm very interested to hear more about that. Maybe we can make sure that item is on the next agenda Not sure why it wasn't on, was in one, but I must admit personally, it slipped through the cracks. I wasn't
Yeah,
Wasn't
I
aware
went
of
back and looked at, so the thing that came in March asked municipalities to identify their traffic authority for consultative purposes on the act, and I did. And there has been no further communication since. So I think I've just been waiting for them to
actually.
say anything.
Through the province.
Yeah, so we got the contact, and this is what Brian had forwarded back in
Oh,
March.
okay.
It was a contact that said, you know, identify who your representative is, and then I haven't heard anything since. I did raise a PAB today, though, that I do think that we should be giving input on the process, particularly with respect to radar enforcement. It's something we've been talking about. So whether that at this point is able to go back to PAB or should be discussed with council, I would love to see us discuss it in some format.
Well, Mayor, not to get too far off the
Yes.
beaten track, I do think that item dovetails well with our other correspondence recently from the fire department about speed humps.
Ah.
I do think that the camera item and speeding enforcement and the humps are inextricably linked.
Yeah.
But anyway, not on the agenda this evening, but I do think we should move these two items along and figure out when is the best time to talk about this other item.
Okay.
My
So there's a
understanding
motion on the
was
floor.
from,
There is a motion on the floor, so.
I would like to speak to it in a way that doesn't relate to this conversation with the Traffic Safety Act.
Okay, so let us do the motion.
I just want to speak to the
Okay,
motion.
okay.
I had my
Sorry,
hand
I'm
up.
sorry, all right.
So if I could, yeah,
Sure.
just, so the request was to refer this, deer crossing request to policy and strategy. And as traffic authority, I'm normally asked to provide a report with guidance on an item like this. So maybe you could ask that the motion be changed to the staff be directed to provide a report, for discussion of the policy and strategy
Sure.
committee meeting.
I will absolutely change that motion to what you just said.
And the
Just give a little bit of context.
Yep, no,
on
great.
this.
And the seconder agrees?
Well, yeah, sure.
Okay. All right, any more discussion?
I understood, but have not seen that a letter was followed along from the email inquiry from the minister to provide input on the question of Transport Safety Act. Now,
Okay.
whether we've got it or not, I don't know, but that was,
So,
So
I think
Sucker came
Suzanne
with the
just
deer
asked to
crossing?
get to the vote on this motion before we.
oh, sorry,
Yeah.
sorry,
Okay.
okay.
All right, all those in favor? Aye.
aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion is carried. Okay, now, Councillor Copeland.
So it really comes down to getting reasonably timely response back to the minister about something that is very important from a policy point of view, as opposed to just, I don't mean to say just, sorry, Dylan, but it has broader implications, as Joe alluded to, Councillor Joe alluded to, in terms of what we can do to move forward on other initiatives. So it might be useful to explore with the minister just what it is they're looking for and when, by when.
Okay. Yes,
So on that note, I guess maybe it wasn't clear, the only thing we've been requested, we got an email from the minister, it said. MQO Research has been hired to conduct a facilitated process with municipalities. Please identify if you would be interested in this process and who the contact person would be. And I did that same day, and I said it would be me and we would be interested, and I haven't heard anything since.
Okay,
So the email itself isn't really something that needs to go on a council agenda. I think the broader question would be irrelevant to this discussion. Do we just want to send a letter to the minister, as councils often do? And in which case, put that on a agenda, because I think we should.
I
send a
would
letter.
make a motion that we do, just
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
is there a second for that motion? Councillor Feeney?
so procedurally, Dylan, is like, how do you have the conversation in the absence of having the email? Is it easy just to add the email to a future correspondence, or is that appropriate at all?
Yeah, I mean, that was my point, is the email really says nothing. I think somewhere we just want to add the subject of Traffic Safety Act
Okay.
regulation, and then have a discussion about giving input on the new Traffic Safety Act regulations.
And can you,
Whether you want to add that to policy
can you-
strategy or council.
well,
How about a council?
a council item, yeah, fair enough, or a staff report, whatever.
So really, this probably should just be
Item.
like request, well, yeah, I guess that's the question, is are you requesting a report on the Traffic Safety Act?
I just want to have the issue entered into the public domain through some kind of a process that's logical. So we're in receipt of an email.
I think
We
most-
receive many, many emails. Not all of them end up on council agendas. Dozens of emails a week. Some of them, they don't normally arrive on council agendas. If there's a request from council to ask the mayor to write a letter back, fair enough. Like, I'm all for asking for that. We just need a mechanism to make sure that that can happen.
Yeah.
However we can facilitate.
So it would
that.
be added as a council item on the
Okay.
next agenda. So normally that's done as a notice of motion, where you guys have actually put a motion on the floor. The motion can still be that this be added as a council item to the May 13th meeting agenda, and then we'll have it. The new Traffic Safety Act regulations be added as a council item on the May
Terrific.
13th council meeting agenda. If that's the motion you
Yep,
guys.
you okay with that, Mark? That sounds
Yeah,
good.
so moved.
Sounds good.
Okay, so moved,
Yeah.
and second by Councillor Feeney. Any further discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor signify aye. Opposed, nay. The motion is carried. Yes,
Mayor, just for my own satisfaction, I'm just trying to understand procedurally how that motion arose. Is it because it came under correspondence that arrived several meetings ago or several
I think,
time ago? What's the procedure that allowed that vote to happen right now?
So, do you want to speak to it, or do you want me to speak to it?
well, you can speak to it because I was just asked for to.
Yeah, so it would commonly be the case for an item to cause someone to think of something and say, under new business, I'm gonna provide a notice of motion. And that's what we should have done procedurally.
Thank you.
It would have resulted in the same.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
It's just, it helps to have things clear, so
Okay,
thank you.
thank you for that. That's why we want you on council.
Some of the many reasons.
Yes.
Something's gotta balance me out. Troublemaker.
Okay, all right, we are going to move on to staff report, 7.1, report to council.
Mayor, I'd move that council accept the staff report for information.
Okay.
7.1.
No, any, the seconder?
Yes, I'll second, but
Okay.
then,
Oh, you have a, you want to speak to it?
yeah. Actually, Councillor Feeney's brought up the subject. Back in March, the fire department, in a letter to council, requested that the town remove the speed bumps because of response. It's harmed response time and, in fact, damaged equipment. Speed bumps are still in place. There are other mechanisms short of actual photo radar. There are photo systems available, as we know. By not acting to remove the speed bumps, given this formal notice, we have put ourselves at risk. If there is a delay that results in damage or life or whatever, because of speed bumps, we know about it. We're vulnerable from a legal point of view. So my sense is that other things can be dealt with, mitigating factors can be dealt with as time allows. There are some mitigating factors. As I recall, the police, the RCMP were interested or willing to test speed limits coming down Keddy's Landing Hill, which obviously isn't needed anymore because the road's been taken up, but maybe it could be diverted to test checking out some of the other roads periodically. A couple of fines would probably help. So I feel that these speed bumps should be removed as soon as possible. I can't think of any reason that justifies them remaining in place.
Can I ask why we're talking about this? There's something.
Because it's a piece of, it was a report that was supposed to be coming and to
No,
council.
You referred it to policy and strategy.
Did
And
we?
it's nothing
Did we
to do with this
indeed?
report that's on the agenda tonight.
Did we indeed? And policy and strategy is on
Monday.
Monday. I will hold forth. I'll hold until then.
Okay.
Now whether that item is on Monday's agenda or a month from Monday's agenda is,
Talk about that on Monday night.
fair enough.
Well, in the 2 hour meetings, there's gonna be a lot to talk about. including-
I think, Councillor Paul Freeman's point is he would like to prioritize that, and that's what we can talk about on Monday.
Okay, Councillor Kingsman.
I just had a question about the number one, the report on RLC. I see we're at 90%. We were at 75 in March. Is that a May 1st or May 30th or later? And is this in any way impacting the budget process that we're starting a little bit late?
It'll definitely be referenced in the budget process in a manner that would allow council to have any information you need going in the budget process.
Okay.
Whether a open session report is provided on this before the budget process, I'm not sure about that, but definitely information being provided.
Okay.
This is timely, but it's not so timely as that anything is being requested for approval from council anytime soon.
Okay,
Yeah, and I can speak more to it in an appropriate setting.
sure, okay, great, I was just
There
wondering.
actually has been 15% movement. I know it seems.
I know, no,
It's not just the number getting bigger, but things have happened in the past 2 months.
Absolutely, it wasn't the percentage point, it was just the overlap with budget and understanding that whole thing.
No,
Okay,
absolutely.
great, thanks.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor and seconded. Any further discussion? Being none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor signify aye. Opposed, nay. Okay, motion is carried. 7.2, staff report, PCAP and FRIIP applications. So these are grants.
Yeah, so just to very briefly speak to, once again, another proposal for grant applications. Earlier today, I noted at the Asset Management Committee that the province just announced that they've canceled the beautification streetscaping program and the community works program in favor of adding a lot more funds to the provincial capital assistance program, so the PCAP program we're talking about here. We've been very successful in applying to PCAP. We received funding, $100,000 for the Paramount Pine Grove Stormwater Diversion Project last year, which is a pretty good share, so that was as relative to less than $1 million in the total pot for the province. But that being said, it's always worth going back at it again. And so whether the pot has now increased more than double, which is great, I would still could recommend it, and our chances might get better. So there's 2 recommendations here. One's on the PCAP grant application proposed for the raw water transmission replacement and engineering project. The other is on the FRIP program application proposed for the river training and floodway improvements plan project. I always describe FRIP as a white whale because I have never obtained funding under the FRIP program. It's the only provincial program I've never obtained funding under. But it does have a unique characteristic of funding land acquisitions where no other federal or provincial programs that I'm aware of do. So the thought here is that an application of that program could complement our recently submitted Sustainable Communities Challenge Fund application. And if we got that application, this money could pretty much be used to land acquisitions piece. Whereas if we didn't, then half of this would need to be used to cover the half of the scope that would have been covered under that program. It'd be more preferable to do it under that program at 80% funding. So there's a little bit of back and forth because we don't know which one we'll get.
I think I understood.
But it's
what
worth
you
applying
said.
to them both at the same time, and we've just applied to the Sustainable Community Challenge Fund based on report to council on April 8th. And it was requested that this one come back with some more info, which hopefully is included here. But I'm happy to take questions on either and the recommendations that we apply to both. And then if we do say that, then I can get the application submitted by month.
Okay.
Could you speak a little bit to that item later on the agenda about scheduling?
Did our person in the gallery catch all that? You did, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, Councillor Paul Freeman.
Yeah, and the Asset Management Committee was strongly in favour of the PCAP application in particular because of it applies to the raw water pipe replacement and the engineering study and getting things shovel ready so that if the funds available for a large project become available, we're ready to go. It's the #1 vulnerability of the town,
Yes. Okay.
I believe.
All right, so would someone like to make a motion that we allow staff to start the application process?
Direct.
Correct.
I mean, I want to do it, so I guess it's
Yeah.
fair to let it.
You'll make the motion.
You'll make the motion, Councillor Carver,
Are you
and
doing the
second
two
by,
separately, Penny, or are you doing that whole thing? There's two in the package.
Oh, sorry,
Oh.
sorry, I'm in the wrong part of the package.
I just separated.
I can make the
different
motion if you want.
applications, yeah.
Make it just the one.
okay.
Because this way, they can also be included as evidence of our approved submission, so having them be separate means, you know, they don't each need to really.
Yeah.
So does that mean
So
that
peek out.
separate is good?
Yeah.
Separate is good.
Okay,
We'll
fine.
let Councillor Carver do the
Good.
first one,
And I seconded the first one.
okay.
Page-
Councillor
page
Kaufman,
3 then.
seconded,
Yeah.
okay, any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify with aye,
Right?
opposed? Nay, so the motion is carried,
We're on
So
the-
I'll go on to the next one. Okay.
okay,
I move that council direct staff to apply to the 2025-26 flood risk infrastructure improvement program for the Ernst Brook River Training and Floodway Improvements Plan project.
okay, is there a seconder for that? Councillor Feeney,
I particularly like the idea of training a river.
It was an interesting term to be introduced to, yeah.
okay, any further discussion? Okay, calling for the question, all those in favor, signify.
Councillor Feeney looked like he, I think, Paul Furman looked like he had a question.
But no, it's it's such a complex series of ons and bits and pieces which stop short of the ocean incursion end of it,
Mhm.
and what's possible, which we discussed at another point.
Can we finish the motion, voting?
I thought we had.
No, we just.
No, I interrupted there because I thought Councillor Paul Furman was working up to a question. or
No,
comment
no,
on
no,
discussion.
Okay.
it's just complex.
Those opposing the motion signify with nay. Okay, the motion is carried. Thank you.
And so we did pass the motion just on the title area part. You should take a look if you didn't get to on the reports that I forwarded to you guys about that. It was only yesterday, because it's not on tonight's agenda, but just for reference about the title portion of Ernst Brook. And then in progress to possibly do something over there, we did also include that in the area that the province has transferred to the town. So we do own the quote unquote harbor bed below the Quinlan on the Ernst Brook.
Yeah.
So if we did need to do anything there, we would not be doing infill on Crown land because we own that land now.
Oh,
So that was part of the
Oh.
process by which we acquired the harbor bed for the Edgewater project. And we noted that, well, we should include the Ernst Brook tidal area as well.
so that's good.
Province was happy to do that.
How far
That was
does
last
that
year.
go?
It goes to the top of the tidal area, which is basically just before the Quinlan. Like, I guess the waterfall, it was an obvious split, the tidal doesn't go up that. So it goes up.
So we're responsible for any repairs and like when the wood rots or anything there. There being a waterfall.
We just now are the ones who own below the high water mark, so the province owns the crown
Okay,
owning below the high water mark.
okay, thank you for all that, everybody. We're going on to council items and we have the second reading of the amendment of the LUB section 6.4.1 and 16.2.1. Eric will read the report
Yeah.
as clerk.
Yeah, a public hearing was held on April 24, 2025 to receive verbal and written submissions regarding the town of Mahone Bay's draft amended land use bylaw. One member of the public was in attendance. One member of the public presented comments to the hearing. 0 written submissions were received prior to the hearing and 0 written submissions were received during the hearing. The hearing adjourned at 6:45 p.m.
Are there any questions about that?
Mayor, hearing the clerk's report, I'd move that council provide second reading to the amendment of LUB sections 6.4.1 and 6.2.1I.
Is there a seconder to that motion? Councillor Copeland seconds the motion. Okay. Is there any further discussion, questions? Being none, all those in favor, please signify aye. Opposed, nay. The motion is carried. Thank you all. So you will relay that information to our planning department? and-
Yeah, and the way that these things work is I think we are required to put a notice of the change, and then there is a short period under which someone could appeal to the utility review board. I think it's 2 weeks.
Okay,
So, yeah, that will start.
okay. Good. All right, moving on to 8.2, Mayor Lois Croft, which is me. Appointment of an alternative to the Lunenburg County Anti-Racism and Anti-Discrimination Committee. No one has come forward from council wanting that position. We will continue to have it. Maybe if we have a mid-month reminder to people, maybe they will think about it. And, you know, this one just popped up when people read their notes again, say, oh, shoot, I forgot to think about it. So, anyway,
Mayor, I'd move that we defer item 8.1 till the next meeting, and with the acknowledgement that if we do not have a volunteer, that I would certainly step up and volunteer to take that on
8.2.
at the next meeting. Pardon
8.2.
me, at the 8.2. So
Okay.
if you indulge me, I'd be happy to defer it, and then happy to play that role next week unless someone else beats me to the punch.
Okay.
And just as a matter of information, the first meeting of that committee has been set for April the 29th at 6 p.m. Virtual,
Oh, is it?
so.
And is it a public virtual meeting? Like, is it open to the public? Can it be streamed
I
somewhere?
don't know, I don't.
I'm unsure. I can find that information out.
Oh, okay.
Are you on the invite?
Nope.
I feel like you should be included on these invites, whether you're able to attend or not.
I'll follow up on that
Thank
too.
you. I'm not, and I was like, oh, I should be, and then I said, no, I don't have to be, Eric should be.
Eric should.
So as the designated representative, our.
Did we second that motion though? We just, let's just second it.
I'll second that, Joe.
Okay, second,
Does
okay. Councilor Kingsmill, second the
Sorry.
motion. Okay, go ahead, Councilor Carver.
Okay, so we're in discussion on the motion now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just in case anybody wants to volunteer spontaneously. I'm the regular designated person. The alternate, really the minimum you have to do is attend if I can. Ideally, the alternate could attend all meetings to be familiar with the issues. But not voting, because we're voting on voting. So it's gonna be a very interesting, worthwhile committee. I think it's gonna be challenging. So I'm just saying this by way of encouraging people to consider the issues that are important, and what we've heard from Jen and the Pride and it's important.
Can I ask, can the minutes be sent out
Sure.
when they're approved
Well,
to
we'll ask.
council?
We'll ask.
Yeah, see if that can be done too, because that's also important, if you can't make meetings or whatnot, just to be, you know, how we
That would be
get
great.
packaged stuff from soda and different ones.
So we haven't been doing that with the accessibility committee.
Oh,
No,
we
haven't.
should. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
This is the first time it occurred to me, because we keep adding things like NBSB and area.
Yeah.
Accessibility committee does produce minutes.
yeah,
I'd love to see those.
yeah,
So-
and also the public will have exposure to it as well.
So Mayor, I think just procedurally, just if we're able to have this vote, revisit, put this item back on the next month's agenda, then at that time, it can be, we can have a motion to make an appointment.
Okay.
So you'll kill two birds with one stone.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
fair enough. Do
All
not
right.
leave you hanging for our community's obligations.
Any further discussion?
This just gives me more chance to hang out with Penny Carver too, so.
Yeah, okay.
That's a win always.
All right, so I'm calling for the question. All those in favor signify yay. Opposed, nay. The motion is carried. Thank you. Well, good discussion, and you please feel comfortable, and also for the accessibility, Councilor Carver, if you can ask about us being able to publish the minutes.
Yeah, the next meeting will be the first week in May, so
Okay,
that will be any problem with circulating minutes.
great, thank you. All right, 8.3 council items, and that was.
Yeah, so this was a request on the budget meeting schedule, and as I said in my email, it is not something that I like to be coming for yet again the third time talking about revision of the budget meeting schedule. I think people are generally aware of some of the considerations going into this request. But I am requesting a final revision of the budget meeting schedule, which would see us not beginning the process until Friday, May 9th. And it would see us needing to pick a couple more dates the following 2 weeks, and maybe we could get into that.
So no six.
Except for Kelly, he's listening. So no meeting would be on the 29th, which was going to be the presentation. And no meeting would be on the 6th, where we have a conflict now with the ministers meeting.
So Dylan, what are your dates you're proposing, the 6th and,
So we're canceling the 29th and the 6th,
okay,
and then we'd be resetting the 9th, which is already on your calendars, as the presentation meeting.
okay.
Which means that I would like to schedule at least one discussion meeting the following week. And for me, the 14th or 16th are good if we wanted to stick to a daytime for discussion. So I'm just looking around because I know that we have council on the 13th. So the idea of having council on the 13th may mean that the 14th is tricky for some. We could go with the 16th, that would be a week from, and the maximum distance I'd like to have between the presentations.
So May
Yeah.
14th is a Monday.
Wednesday.
No, May 14th. is a
Oh,
Wednesday.
wait, 13th was, okay, it's a Wednesday, okay.
Are we looking for a 2-hour time slot or 3?
Full morning.
Full morning,
Yeah.
okay.
Mayor, if you indulge me, if we stick with the 9th, which I think is proposed, 16th, 23rd and 30th mornings, any one of those 3 following Fridays through the month of May, Dylan certainly can be, those would be the easiest times for me personally to meet.
Well, I keep my Friday mornings open, so they're all
So
good for me.
If feel free to book them all and we'll use what we need. And then if there's more other meetings that requires other cadence throughout the evenings earlier this month, I'll leave it in your hands to ask.
Yeah, I
Ask
mean, I
for-
like the sound of that, if that works for other people. I think we would be able to be finished by the 30th at the latest. I mean, that's 4.
Okay with me.
What, 9th, 16th and 23rd?
Yeah,
9th, 16th,
30th.
23rd and 30th, but we won't use the 30th if we don't have, if we
So-
don't need it.
And we'll get an invite
9 to 12.
from
Yeah.
the clerk.
And make it 3 hours, because I think Kelly only said it for 2 hours.
Yes.
I probably won't be here on the 23rd, but that doesn't matter. I will try and dial in.
When's Kelly back?
Very soon. Thank you.
I think he'll be back for 9th.
Those meetings suit me fine, thank you.
We killed you, Kelly, you left, you tried to avoid it, now you'll be back right in time.
Oh, you're up early.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Seems like he just left.
He's out tomorrow.
It's already tomorrow.
Yes.
Is that tomorrow morning around?
Tomorrow
9
morning,
a.m.?
yeah.
Holy moly.
He's up early.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you, everybody, it certainly is appreciated, and I know Ashley will appreciate just a little bit more time to get there.
Yes. So,
Good.
we are moving on to committee reports, so 9.1.
Sorry, were there other items that you were looking for direction in?
It's gone to closed session.
Going
now.
to
We'll
closed
just
session.
call it added to closed session.
Okay, fair enough.
It'll be closed session.
Okay, great. Area, board meeting
Mhm.
minutes, January 29th. My request is that, we get the accepted, minutes, not the draft minutes.
Thank
And
you.
that it will be a regular item on our council. And, I think all the others, our partners are going to be publishing theirs as
Was
well.
that a difficult ask?
No, it wasn't.
Good.
No, it wasn't, but I wanted to make sure they weren't the draft, that they were the past ones, so they will be behind by a month or
Yeah.
whatever, but, we will be receiving them on a regular basis.
Thank you for doing that.
9.2, South Shore Open Doors Association Monthly Report. You all received that. And the Heritage Advisory Committee, draft minutes. Are there, there's no items there that,
Yes, there were.
there were?
Items.
Yes.
There's-
Were they
Yeah.
two house, two?
There's a house
properties?
and a commercial property.
Okay,
We're deferring.
so I will try and tune into this.
And the third motion just concerns town hall, so there is actually a third one on the next page.
Okay, okay, great. So would Councillor Feeney like to speak to these? Are
no.
you the heritage?
No, I
No, I
think
am.
Councillor,
Yeah.
the deputy mayor now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
moved
so
on,
we
yeah.
used to the,
No.
Councillor Feeney. Okay, take it away,
Not-
deputy.
Not at all. So we've got 430 Main Street, which happens to be my house.
Is this a conflict of interest?
Well,
Should you declare it?
I've maybe I'll abstain from voting, but I can fill you guys in.
Conflict of interest is you're only gonna damage the
It's only a conflict if he applies to the grant.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess that's true. That would be a conflict.
my husband applied, so.
Fair enough.
Anyway, we did a statement of significance, and we were gonna make the motion to accept this tonight, but Penny did raise a good point in that the statement of significance, I was supposed to do some edits right after the meeting and give them to Kelly, and I blanked. So I'm thinking we could maybe withdraw the 430 Main Street until Kelly and I get the edits updated and finished properly, because we made a few changes and Penny picked up on them, like the summer kitchen is not gonna be included in it. It's just the front facade of the house. So I would propose that we take 430 off as a motion. I'm not sure that that's the right process, but, and then we just do 523 Main, and 523 Main is the Sweet Rides.
So we're gonna defer 4:30 until the second June meeting, is that the plan?
Yeah, and
Yeah, the first, second.
Setting the report, you don't have to make the motion, so it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
deferred, you just
Yeah.
say, I'm going to hold it, I'm not
Okay.
gonna make it.
Great,
Yeah.
So the second
perfect.
May meeting.
Just delete it.
So,
It just doesn't appear in the minutes, it's in the report, and Colin explained that he wasn't gonna make it this meeting, and yeah.
and we will make sure the statement of significance is updated. I believe 523 was fine in terms of statement of significance.
Hmm.
And,
And I still would like to check at some point about I have this memory that there should be an item in the first sentence that says registration includes and I can't remember how it goes, and I was trying to look them up. Kelly may
Okay.
have enough.
But I guess when you make that motion on that is just kind of subject to your willingness to have that detail be clarified after the fact, 'cause
Yeah,
that-
that would
the
be.
motion's not gonna.
Yeah,
Right.
affect
that
it,
would
but
be-
you can
that
still-
would
We can, and just one comment, this is our first round of statement of significance on our own as a new group, so anyway, we got.
No, but they were lovely.
Okay, on our way, great,
So
so,
your job to be fairly restrictive and not just, talk about everything, so.
Yeah.
so shall I make the motion for the 523 Main?
Do we include the owner's name, or is that just,
I don't believe so.
no? It's
that-
not important.
Sometimes in statements of significance, it says the property at, like
Okay.
the civic number commonly known as,
Okay.
sometimes it
Okay.
says that.
All right.
But I think it's that.
Yeah, it's an
Right, or
interesting
the
point.
pine shop.
The
Right.
requirement to have a hearing, is that on registration? I'm sorry, that does raise a point that you would remember the best probably. There's a requirement to have a hearing where the property owner could speak to so I am pretty sure actually that this will just trigger the hearing to be scheduled. I know it seems weird, because why would someone speak against their own request? But in the past, we have had these hearings that were prescribed as part of the registration process.
Really?
Unless it was only for deregistration, yeah.
I-
Well, anyway, if
I
it
do
is,
know-
Kelly will bring it back as a hearing, but,
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
cause people can be registered against their will. I think that's
Yeah,
why,
sure.
yeah.
sure, I mean, there's obviously engagement with the homeowner at the plaquing ceremony, when the mayor unveils the plaque, and, so there's an opportunity to dovetail those two things together, as well, as far as providing the current owner as steward of the building, the recognition. There's a public invitation and we announce it, and I'm assuming that will happen in the fall, which is, traditionally when we do the plaquing ceremony, around the same time as the Scarecrow Festival, for example.
Dylan, did you say they can be registered against the will of the?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it
You
can.
you don't require the consent of the property owner to register a municipal heritage property.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's not an advisable course of action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sick, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we're voting on that? Voting.
Yeah, so I'd love to know, go ahead. If it turns out we need a hearing, Kelly will bring it back for the hearing.
Okay, are we ready for,
Sorry to
so the
think
motion was
so
made,
Oh, and, do you want to include the commonly known as?
523,
Yeah. Actually, commonly known, commonly known as Sweet Ride.
Currently known as.
Well,
right?
it's currently now.
You just mean in the motion? You wanna add it in the motion?
sure, I can add that. So I would like to make a motion that council register the property located at 523 Main Street, currently known as Sweet Rides, as a municipal heritage property.
is there a seconder, Council Copeland?
Oh.
Not gonna get, we'll get Twano on the books today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Evening,
Second by Councilor Twano, is there any further discussion? Being none, I will call for the question, all those in favor signify aye, opposed not nay. The motion is carried, thank you very much, it's wonderful to see another property recognized in that manner here in our town, and
Yeah,
great for visitors and we'll stir up some good conversation, I'm sure.
So there's another motion in that.
There is another motion in that, so, can,
Windows here. Well, your window, she's in there.
my.
It's on the second page.
Oh,
of the-
Yeah, I can't,
the
I
window.
can't get
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Okay, you know
The
what?
two windows.
I just figured you
Sorry,
would not want
yeah.
this one to advise
Sorry.
us.
I could have
I
done
see
that.
that.
Okay, a motion for additional windows. So, there are, we've had windows installed and, there is the addition of 2 windows located on the sides of the building that are new.
So the reason it's coming forward in this manner, just to clarify, is that we were advised in the course of applying for the building permit change to the building reno that would allow for the window to be added there, and one that was being added in Kelly's office upstairs, facing at the back. That those windows would actually require, because of the nature of our heritage registration, the recommendation of the committee to council for Heather to feel comfortable with the idea.
Right.
So that's what we did. Staff felt that they were not referencing the statement of significance and probably didn't require that. But we actually did check with our lawyer, who told us that any building permit about anything on a heritage property should require the approval of the committee. And that's something I'm not super comfortable with, but we
No.
did it in this case. I just generally think it will cause people not to want to register their heritage properties.
Oh, yes.
Even though it's not on the facade, but it's.
Yeah, that's what he said.
So any renovation,
Any reservation that would trigger a building permit, the building permit would need to be signed off. And it has to do with the vagaries in the wording of the Heritage Act as opposed to being more clear about the nature of when the act would apply. It may be being overly thorough because the odds of someone suing us for not disallowing their own renovation seems very low.
Right.
So that's just something to consider. Like, I mean, I'm sure he has a point, and where it's the town and we're the own permitting authority, and let's go by letter of the law. But I think going forward, the committee might wanna have a chat about that, and even might wanna invite Peter to talk about that.
Yeah.
And our friend at the Heritage Trust as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
I don't wanna, I would not wanna create a chilling effect, but we figured in this case, we're the permitting authority, so better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Let's not, you know,
Oh,
cut corners.
Please invite me to that meeting, I'd love to.
mhm,
Yeah, just
Okay.
you'd rather know up front, right?
yeah,
So,
So-
would someone like to make that,
Make
okay,
that
Councilor
move,
Keeney?
Mayor, for the Lonis Croft window, or the Lonis window and the Croft window, 1753 and 1754.
Okay, is there a seconder for the motion? Councilor Copeland? No, sorry, Councilor King.
I was voting, sorry.
Okay.
we could.
Sorry, it's been a very long day of meetings.
Yeah.
All those in favor signify aye. Opposed, nay, the motion is carried.
Can I ask when the mayor is gonna get the window or is it?
It's in,
It's
but
up.
it's roughed in.
Oh, okay, wow.
There needs to be some TLC and a dusting.
Get a,
RS.
we get stained glass in your image or
Well,
something.
yeah.
No, I'm just gonna be sitting there daydreaming for a
Put that on
while.
the-
looking at- Oh, yes, you may. Thank you so much. So,
Left of a closet now.
Uh-huh.
the cemetery
Cemetery.
committee draft minutes, anything you have to add to that, Councillor Dean?
The only that the committee, the committee recommended to staff in consultation and collaboration with staff, a budget. And the budget will be submitted to the budget process. So nothing, I think normally it would come here first, but I think it's automatically being referred to the budget process. So I don't believe, Dylan, that the cemetery budget is is attached to these minutes.
No.
But they'll be forwarded directly to everyone's attention in the
Yeah, we shouldn't really have highlighted the motion except just to call attention to
Yeah, it's
it,
just-
so that when we get to the budget, we know
Right.
that the committee has
Yeah.
pre-considered and is supportive of the recommendation.
So don't worry, Miro, you'll hear my very brief, short pitch for the
Okay.
cemetery budget at that meeting, not
Okay.
tonight,
Not tonight, okay.
but you'll be happy.
Very good. So this is just an update, not a motion, so we will move on to new business. And new business, not being any, move on to questions and comments. Does our anyone from the gallery wish to speak? No? Thank you. How about anyone from home, Claire? No?
No comments or
No comment. How many do we have?
7.
7, okay, that's great. So I will entertain motion to go into closed session. So look like Councilor
And we
Harvey.
will be, going to, closed session to talk about 2 items on personnel and 1 item on contracts, if I can't remember.
Oh,
the
contract
NDA.
One item on personnel.
Well,
Eric,
I guess I kind of.
Eric, Eric, please don't pull the plug on me.
Oh, yeah, good point. I'll stop.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah,
Enjoy your breakfast.
Oh, later, after we're done haranguing the closed session part.
You can't stay for closed session?
No, he doesn't want to be kicked out. He's
Oh.
asking
Okay.
Tuesday,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
Just because we would have kicked him out. when we
I'll
closed.
give you fair warning when the live stream is done.
okay. Okay. Okay, we had, who? did
We have a mover, but no second.
No seconder, right? Who wants the second?
I'll second.
Guano? Second. All those in favor, aye? Opposed, nay? Motion carried.
Of course. Great.
Found it, but finally found after much of 404, the Heritage Property Act, trying to email you guys the reference.